You keep blaming the city, the gangs, the corpse, the violence. But Night City didn't force every choice. It just built a world where the worst parts of people always had room to win. In Cyberpunk 2077, Night City is constantly described like it's alive. People talk about it like it eats people, like it changes them, like it ruins anyone who gets too close. And it makes sense why. Night City is full of gangs, corporations, corruption, and systems that reward selfishness. Almost every tragic story in the game happens inside its borders. So it's easy to say the city is the villain. But I don't think that's fully true. Because Night City doesn't create evil out of nothing. It reveals what people will do when there is no real cost for becoming worse. And that's the mechanism. Night City is not a villain in the way Arasaka is a villain. It doesn't have one mind, one plan, or one intention. It's more like an environment that rewards the ugliest parts of human nature and pushes restraint. If you're greedy, then there's money for you. If you're ruthless, then there's power for you. And if you're desperate, there's always someone ready to use that desperation. And the city doesn't force every choice. It just makes bad choices more profitable. And that matters, because it changes the question. See, the question is not, did Night City make these people bad? The real question is, what kind of person do you become when the world keeps rewarding the worst version of you? And that lands harder to home than most people want to admit. Because you've lived in systems like that too. Maybe not with chrome and gunfire, but you've been in environments where kindness looked weak, or patience looked passive, or honesty felt expensive, and selfish people seemed to move faster. You saw who got promoted, who got protected. You saw who got attention and who got listened to. And it wasn't always the most decent person in the room. 'Cause see, the environment didn't force you. It just made the wrong thing easier to justify. And that's Night City. And you can see it in almost every major character. Johnny becomes more reactive. Songbird becomes more manipulative. Reed becomes more obedient. Judy becomes more disillusioned. Pan becomes more combative. And V becomes more transactional just to survive. The city doesn't hand them a script and say, become this. It just keeps applying pressure until the version of them that survives starts looking different than the version of them that arrived. And that's why blaming the city alone feels too clean. Because the city is evil lets everyone else off the hook. It turns even betrayal into atmosphere. Every compromise into inevitability. Every act of cruelty into background noise. But Night City is not some supernatural force. It is people, its systems, its institutions, its incentives. It is human corruption scaled up and made normal. And that matters because it means the city is not separate from the people inside of it. It is built out of them. And that's the second recognition. See, you don't always become worse because you wanted to. Sometimes you become worse because you got tired of losing to people who already were. And that's the trap. You start by resisting the environment. Then you start adapting to it. And then one day, you realize your adaptation is hurting other people. And then you tell yourself you didn't have a choice. And that's how cities and companies and families and entire cultures get ugly. And it's not because everyone is a monster, but because enough people decide that decency is too expensive under current conditions. And that's why Night City feels evil. It's not because it has a soul, but because it is a machine built out of rewarded vice. And once vice becomes useful, people stop seeing it as a vice. They start calling it realism, or toughness, or maturity, or survival. And that's the deeper horror. Cause see, Night City doesn't just contain corruption, it normalizes it. So the question is Night City the real villain? I mean, not exactly. Night City is the stage, the incentive structure, it's the pressure chamber. And the real villain is what people become when greed or fear or ambition stop meeting resistance. The city matters because it makes all of that easier. But the city is still made of choices. And that's why it hits. Because if you blame only the environment, you never have to face the part of the story where human beings kept choosing what the environment rewarded. And if that feels uncomfortably familiar, then it should.